the mortise using mortise and firmer chisel. Saw the tenon walls right up to the lines of the shoulder with the use of bench hook. Saw down the tenon walls of the tenons. Keep the saw on the waist side of the line. Saw off the end waists of tenon and finish the flat surfaces. Saw off the end waists of the piece. When two pieces are ready to be fit, check if they will fit snugly and are flush when fitted. Precaution: tenon should be square to mortise piece. Fit the mortise with their tenons, and after fitting there should not be any movement in the joints. Check with the tri-square. Finish the mortise and tenon joint with smoothing plane. Advantages and application of mortise and tenon joint. It is one of the strongest joints and has been used by cabinet makers and joiners for thousands of years. Thanks to their tensile strength, they are favored for items such as windows, doors, beds, and tables, typically where a sturdy frame is required and wood needs to be joined at 90 degrees. The mortise and tenon joint gives such a secure joint in these circumstances that it is the key to the longevity of the furniture. Let's quickly recap. In this training session, participants will learn to create a single mortise and tenon joint. The video outlines the necessary equipment, including a wooden piece, jack plane, tri-square, mortise gauge, measuring tape, bench vise, mortise chisel, mallet, bench hook, and smoothing plane. The tutorial guides the process, starting with checking and planing the wooden piece, marking dimensions, and using a mortise chisel to carefully chop out the mortise. It emphasizes precision, avoiding widening beyond the chisel and ensuring straight walls. The tenon is formed through sawing and careful fitting, and the joint's integrity is confirmed with a tri-square before final smoothing with a plane. Mortise and tenon joints offer superior tensile strength, ideal for sturdy frames in windows, doors, beds, and tables, ensuring longevity. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn about making the plain haunched mortise and tenon joint. The objectives of this video are: after this session you will be able to gathering tools needed to make plain haunched mortise and tenon joint, making the plain haunched mortise and tenon joint, advantages and application of plain haunched mortise and tenon joint. Let's start. Gathering tools needed to make plain haunched mortise and tenon joint. Wooden piece of dimension 45 x 30 x 280 mm. Jack plane. Tri-square. Mortise gauge. Marking knife. Measuring tape. Bench vise. Mortise chisel. Mallet. Firmer chisel. Making the plain haunched mortise and tenon joint. Check the workpiece and planing to size of the workpiece. (45 x 30 x 280 mm) and marking of the measurement as per the drawing. Using measuring tape, tri-square, jack plane, mortise gauge, marking knife. Make the haunched mortise using mortise chisel, firmer chisel and mallet. Hold the mortise upside down and prepare the hunch to a size of 10 x 10 x 10 mm. Preparing the tenon as shown. Finish the haunched tenon using firmer chisel. Assemble the haunched tenons in the mortises by gently tapping it with mallet and finish the job as per the drawing. Advantages and application of plain haunched mortise and tenon joint. A haunched mortise and tenon joint is often used in woodworking to make heavy-duty frame and panel assemblies. The haunch fills the end of the groove, and a haunched tenon can also offer structural benefits. It can also be used for connecting table rails to legs and for door style to rail. Let's quickly recap. To craft a plain haunched mortise and tenon joint, gather tools including wood, jack plane, tri-square, mortise gauge, scriber, measuring tape, bench vise, mortise chisel, mallet and firmer chisel. Check size and mark the workpiece, then create the haunched mortise and finish with a 10 x 10 x 10 mm haunched tenon. Assemble the components by tapping with a mallet. This joint is vital for heavy-duty frame and panel assemblies, providing structural benefits and connecting table rails to legs or door styles to rails. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn about making the full housing joint. The objectives of this video are: after this session you'll be able to gathering equipment needed to make full housing joint, making the full housing joint, advantages and application of full housing joint. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make full housing joint. Wooden piece of dimension 90 x 20 x 300 mm, 1 number. Jack plane, tri-square, marking gauge, marking knife, scriber, measuring tape, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel, pencil. Making the full housing joint. Check the wooden piece for its size using measuring tape. Plane the raw material to the required size using jack plane. Plane it squarely to the size of 90 x 20 x 300 mm. Cut the wooden piece into 2 pieces with a tenon saw to the size of 90 x 20 x 140 mm to square. Mark the dimensions on trench piece as per the drawing. Using tri-square marking gauge, marking knife and pencil. Finish the lines with tri-square and mark on the edge sides. Mark 10 mm housing depth on both the edges using marking gauge. Place the wood in the vise. Cut the sides of the housing down to the center line using tenon saw. Remove the excess wood using firmer chisel. Place the end of the other piece in the housing. If the housing is tight, pare the sides slightly with the chisel and clean it. Assemble the job. Check the accuracy of the inside squareness using tri-square. Advantages and application of full housing joint. A full housing joint is commonly used to build shelves and frames or to attach shelves and partitions to cabinets and bookcases. Let's quickly recap. To craft a full housing joint, gathering equipment includes wood, jack plane, tri-square, marking gauge, scriber, measuring tape, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel and pencil. The tutorial covers checking and planing the wood, cutting it into pieces, marking dimensions, creating a 10 mm housing depth, sawing and using a firmer chisel to achieve the joint. Full housing joints are advantageous for cabinet shelves, frames, attaching partitions to cabinets and are commonly employed in carpentry for their versatility in creating sturdy and functional connections. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn how to make glued butt joint with dowel. The objectives of this video are gathering equipment needed to make the glued butt joint with dowel, making a glued butt with dowel joint, advantages and application of glued butt joint with dowel. After this session you'll be able to. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make glued butt joint with dowel. Wooden piece of dimension 90 mm into 14 mm into 450 mm, 2 numbers. Electric drill, dowel, glue, measuring tape, bench vise, wooden mallet, jack plane, smoothing plane, pencil, T-clamp, tri-square, marking gauge. Making the glued butt joint with dowel. First we need to check that there are 2 wooden pieces of the size 90 mm into 14 mm into 450 mm. If not, then plane it using a jack plane until we get the size. Next, mark the position of dowel pins at the distances of 50 mm, 225 mm and 4 mm by pencil marks as shown. Drill 5 mm diameter hole up to the depth of 27 mm. At the 3 points marked on the face edge of both the planks. After drilling the holes of the plank, countersink slightly in order to take surplus glue. Prepare the dowel pin as per drill hole. Before inserting the pins, apply glues in the holes of the plank or the dowel is smeared with glue. Place the plank in the vise and tighten it such that the plank is held in place. Now, insert the 3 dowel pins in one plank to a depth of 25 mm as shown. Apply the glue on the face edge of both planks uniformly. Make sure that half the height of the dowel pin is upwards above the surface of the face edge. Now slowly place the other plank such that the dowel pin of the first plank enters the dowel hole of the second plank. Gently tap it using rubber or wooden mallet and make a close fitting. Fix the F-clamp on the job and allow glue to dry. Remove the F-clamp on the job and finish the joint using a smoothing plane. Let's see the advantages of glued butt joint with dowel. Strength. When fixed with glued dowels, butt joints are probably strongest. Dowels also provide more wood surface for gluing, which makes the joint stronger. Alignment. Dowel joints can help with alignment during glue up. Neat finish. Dowel joints can help ensure a neat finish. Now let's see the application of glued butt joint with dowel. Chairs, cabinets, panels, tabletops. Let's quickly recap. To create a glued butt joint with dowels, begin by marking the positions of dowel pins on both planks. Drill holes at marked points, ensuring a depth of 27 mm and slight countersinking. Prepare dowel pins and apply glue to both holes and dowels. Insert dowels into one plank, then align and join both planks. Secure with clamps, let it dry and finish for strong aligned joints suitable for chairs, cabinets, panels and tabletops. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn how to make glued butt joint with dowel. The objectives of this video are gathering equipment needed to make the tongue and groove joint, making a tongue and groove joint, advantages and applications of tongue and groove joints. After this session, you'll be able to. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make tongue and groove joint. Wooden piece of dimension 90 mm into 30 mm into 450 mm, 2 numbers. Jack plane, glue, pencil, bench vise, bar clamp 2 numbers, rebate plane, tri-square, Mortise gauge. Making a tongue and groove joint. First, check that there are 2 wooden pieces of the size and make sure that it is of the size 90 mm into 30 mm into 450 mm. If not, then plane it using a jack plane. Mark the tongue and groove using measuring tape, tri-square and Mortise gauge as shown. Make the groove part using a plough plane as shown. When making the groove, make sure that the depth of the groove should be 1 mm more than the width of the tongue. This helps in having more glue surface area, more ease of assembly, and having a tighter fit. Make the tongue part using rebate plane as shown. The width of the tongue and groove should be 1/3 of the thickness of the plank. This is done to give the joint more strength and durability. When both the tongue part and groove part is ready, apply glue on the surfaces of tongue and groove parts. Use a brush to apply the glue uniformly. Fix the tongue part by inserting tongue along the groove. Check the alignment clamp in a bar clamp. Allow the glue to dry. Then remove the bar clamp from the joint. Finish the joint using a jack plane. Advantages of tongue and groove joints. Tongue and groove joints provide strong support for flat surfaces because of having 3 layers of strength where they join. Tongue and groove joints create a stronger bond than butt joints. Tongue and groove joints provide a large area for adhesives like glue, wood glue. Applications of tongue and groove joints. Wood flooring, wall panels, ceilings, table, cabinetry. Let's quickly recap. To craft a tongue and groove joint, gather wood pieces, a jack plane, glue, pencil, bench vise and bar clamps. Mark and carve the joint using specified tools, ensuring precise dimensions and adhesive application. Clamp, let dry and finish for a durable joint ideal for flooring, panels, ceilings, tables and cabinetry. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn about making the end table scarf joint with wedge. The objectives of this video are: after this session you'll be able to gathering equipment needed to make end table scarf joint with wedge, making the end table scarf joint with wedge, advantages and application of end table scarf joint with wedge. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make end table scarf joint with wedge. Wooden piece of dimension 60 mm into 30 mm into 200 mm, 2 numbers. Jack plane, glue, pencil, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel, hand saw, tri-square, marking gauge, marking knife, smoothing plane. Making the end table scarf joint with wedge. Check the wooden pieces for its size. Plane it to size of 60 mm into 30 mm into 200 mm, 2 numbers, using jack plane. Mark the table scarf pieces and cut it to match the drawing. Let's first mark and make the 2 table scarves. Now let's mark the highlighted red region and remove it. First, draw the line 1 that is 50 mm from the edge of length 60 mm. Next, mark the line 2 that is 20 mm from the edge having length 200 mm. We get the red marked region and cut out the red marked region. Now let's mark and cut the green region. First, draw the line 3 that is at a distance of 75 mm from the line 1 as shown. Drawing line 4 at a distance of 20 mm below line 2. Now, line 1, 2, 3, 4 gives us the green region which we need to carve out as shown. Let's mark and remove the purple region. First, draw the line 5 at 10 mm below the previously drawn line 2. Next, draw the line 6 at a distance of 65 mm to the right of line 3. We get the purple region. We need to remove it. Let's mark and remove the blue region. After marking and removing the regions in the two wooden pieces, we get this. Next, we need to mark and cut out the wedges as per the drawing. Two parts of the joint is ready. Apply glue on the bottom surfaces of the top part and the top surface of bottom part and assemble it. Move the joint for the uniform spreading of glues. After assembling the two pieces, a 20 mm gap will be seen in the joint. Push the 18 mm width size of the wedge from the face side and 2 mm width size wedge from the back of the face side. Advantages of end table scarf joint with wedge. The scarf joint with a wedge provides excellent strength. Scarf joints create a seamless transition between two timbers. Unlike butt joints, scarf joints align perfectly, enhancing the overall appearance. Application of end table scarf joint with wedge. Scarf joints are often used in big projects such as garages, carports, floor renovation, repairing or restoring furniture, traditional timber frame construction, table legs, boat building and withstands the stress of water and waves, wooden beam. Let's quickly recap. To create an end table scarf joint with a wedge, gather equipment including wooden pieces, jack plane, glue, pencil, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel and handsaw. Mark the table scarf pieces according to the drawing. Carve out the marked areas in both wooden pieces. Then mark and cut the wedges. Assemble the joint with glue, inserting the wedges using a wooden mallet for reinforcement. Allow the glue to dry and finish the joint with a smoothing clean. This joint offers superior strength, seamless transition, and precise alignment, ideal for various applications like timber frame, construction, table legs, and boat building, etc. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye. Until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn about making the bevel scarf joint. The objectives of this video are: after this session you'll be able to gathering equipment needed to make bevel scarf joint, making the bevel scarf joint, advantages and application of bevel scarf joint. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make bevel scarf joint. Wooden piece of dimension 70 x 40 x 275 mm, 2 numbers. Jack plane, hand drill, glue, marking knife, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel, steel scale, hand saw, smoothing plane, tri-square. Making the bevel scarf joint. Check the wooden pieces for its size. Plane it to the size of 70 x 40 x 275 mm, 2 numbers. Mark the job pieces as per the drawing. Make inclined saw cut along the line AB using tenon saw. Hold the job vertically so that right end comes upwards. At the right end surface, keep a hand saw and make an angular sawing on the line CB. Remove the top portion of the piece sawn by the hand saw. Use firmer chisel to smooth the saw cut part and remove extra material if any. Cut along the line CD and remove waste portion using firmer chisel. Mark the position of drill hole on the job. Drill 3 mm holes on the marked lines with a hand drill and countersink it. Repeat the same procedure on the other piece also. Apply glue on joining surfaces. Assemble both the pieces together. And drive the screws on the countersunk holes on both top and bottom surfaces. Allow glue to dry and finish the joint with smoothing plane. Advantages and application of bevel scarf joint. The bevel scarf joint is used when the material being joined is not available in the length required. It is an alternative to other joints such as the butt joint and the splice joint and is often favored over these in joinery because it yields a barely visible glue line. Scarf joints are often used in big projects such as garages, carports, floor renovation, repairing or restoring furniture. Let's quickly recap. To create a bevel scarf joint, the equipment needed includes wood, jack plane, hand drill, glue, scriber, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel, steel scale and hand saw. The tutorial guides through checking and planing wood, marking and making inclined saw cuts, angular sawing, removing excess material, drilling and assembling pieces with glue and screws. Bevel scarf joints are advantageous when the material's length is insufficient, serving as an inconspicuous alternative to butt and splice joints. Common application includes garages, carports, floor renovations and furniture repairs or restoration, offering a nearly invisible glue line. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye. Until then. Hello trainees. Today we are going to learn about making the T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. The objectives of this video are: after this session you will be able to gathering equipment needed to make the T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. Making T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. Advantages and application of T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. Let's start. Gathering equipment needed to make T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. Wooden piece of dimension 50 x 50 x 450 mm, 4 numbers. 50 x 25 x 725 rails, 4 numbers. 50 x 25 x 425 rails, 4 numbers. Jack plane, marking knife, glue, bench vise, mallet, measuring tape, firmer chisel, steel scale, tenon saw, smoothing plane, tri-square, Mortise gauge, Mortise chisel. Making the T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. First, let's observe the diagram of the table that we want to create using all the steps given below. Check the wooden pieces for its size with tap rule. Hardwood 50 x 50 x 450 mm, legs 4 numbers. Hardwood 50 x 25 x 725 mm, rails 4 numbers. Hardwood 50 x 25 x 425 mm, rails 4 numbers. Plane all the work pieces to the required width and thickness to square as per drawing. 40 x 40 x 415 mm, legs 4 numbers. 45 x 21 x 690 mm, front and back rails 4 numbers. 45 x 21 x 390 mm, side rails 4 numbers. Check the width and thickness of pieces as per the drawing using folding rule. Mark and make the stopped mortise on the top part of the 4 legs as per the drawing. Also, remove the sections at the bottom as shown in the image. Mark the stopped mortise, follow the following steps. Make the stopped mortise by cutting away all the shaded portions along the marked lines using a chisel, mallet and tenon saw. Mark the stop tenon on both the ends of top rail pieces as per the drawing. Make the stop tenon by cutting away all the shaded portions along the marked lines using a chisel, mallet and tenon saw. Assemble the pieces together as shown. Now the table is complete. Advantages and application of making a T-table frame to lock 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. The addition of top and bottom rails means that the table can support weight and have a more stable structure in case there are some forces acting on it in different directions. Let's quickly recap. We learned to craft a T-table frame to secure 4 legs, top rails and bottom rails. Equipment gathering includes wood, jack plane, scriber, bench vise, mallet, firmer chisel, steel scale, tenon saw and smoothing plane. Wooden pieces for legs and rails are planed to the required dimensions. Stopped mortises and tenons are marked and created using a chisel, mallet and tenon saw. Assembling the pieces forms a stable T-table structure capable of supporting weight and with increased stability. This design is advantageous for enhanced structural support and finds application in crafting durable and sturdy tables. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye. Until then.
अरे गीता, तुम मेरे घर आई ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है। वास्तव में मुझे इंटरनेट के बारे में कई महत्वपूर्ण बातों को समझने में तुम्हारी मदद की जरूरत है।
जरूर चाचा, मैं यहाँ आपकी मदद और मार्गदर्शन के लिए आई हूँ।
देखो गीता, जब मुझे ट्रेन से कहीं जाना होता है तो मुझे बहुत मुश्किल समय का सामना करना पड़ता है। जैसे मैं फसलों की